Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Sounds of the Diaspora, Artist to Artist, a conversation with yours truly, Dion Parson. I'm really excited tonight to have this amazing guest with us, someone I've known for many years. I'm a huge fan, been checking out his music all day, and he's one of New York City's leading jazz musician, saxophonist, master at his craft. He's a composer, arranger, educator, and a producer. Please join me in welcoming the one and only Mr. John Ellis to the show.
Hey, Dion. Thanks for having me here.
John, how's it going?
It's great. It's great. Such a pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. How's things in New York City?
Everything is great. Everything is great. Beautiful weather, like we were speaking about just a few minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Things are kind of easing into slow, almost fall, but not quite. Yeah, it's beautiful.
I hear that. Good, beautiful, man. You had a busy summer, man. I saw you a couple of times in New York City playing everywhere, and you on top of your stuff as usual, man. Sounding beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so John, let's just jump right into it. So, originally from North Carolina.
Yes, sir.
And you're out here doing so many great things on the saxophone. How did you pick the saxophone? How did that come about?
It took a little while. I was where I grew up was very small. There was only, believe it or not, only 200 people in my town. It's called Cameron. And my father was a Presbyterian minister, and my mom taught English at the community college. And I think my mom had this fear that both me and my brother were going to just like end up working at the gas station and whatever. Like she was really determined to help us expand our horizons, these little country guys. And my older brother he was kind of a prodigy visual artist. He was one of those kids that could just do amazing creative things when he was young. And so he went to the North Carolina School of the Arts, which is an incredible place, when he was in high school. And then I sort of got a sense of it there, and I followed him there. At the time, I was playing music. I was playing basketball. I was playing whatever, I was playing outside. But I was playing music a little bit. I played a little bit of clarinet in school band, like young when I was a kid. I played a little bit. I had a little bit of piano lessons when I was a kid, and then I was actually playing oboe when I got into the School of the Arts.
Wow.
It's funny. I started playing the oboe partly because so my mom's brother had played the oboe, and they were like, "Oh, you should play the oboe," and I didn't know what it was. So it was just like, "Oh, I could be different." I play this thing. Nobody knows what it is. So I played oboe a little bit and managed to get into the School of the Arts as an oboist. But it was around that time I was like, mid-teenager, like 14, 15, 16. I was starting to get really interested in music and jazz. So my brother's roommate at that school was interested in jazz. So he was kind of, letting me hear these records and things. And I was like, oh man, I think I want to play saxophone or something where I can actually play more than just the oboe. It's funny. I don't know if you guys have listened a lot, your listeners, to the Charlie Parker with strings records, but I was listening to those all the time. And it was like the oboe guy would come in and then Charlie Parker would come in after him. And I was like, no, I don't want to do the oboe. I want to do that. I don't want to do that. That sounds like what I want to do. So that made a big impression on me. And yeah, it just kind of went from there.
That's beautiful, man. It's funny. Everybody have their story of how they got into the music, but the oboe, I never saw that coming. Of all instruments,
I left fast. I left hard. I haven't played it. I haven't played it since.
Okay.
I still actually have sometimes, like, I have these anxiety dreams where I have the oboe again, and I'm supposed to be playing it, and I'm like, oh no, I don't remember how to play this. What am I going to do? But I haven't played it since.
Well, you ended up in New Orleans at some point studying down there. Tell us about your time in New Orleans, because that's with New Orleans being the mecca of jazz. How do you ended up down there?
Well, so at that school in North Carolina, there was some guys, like I mentioned, my brother's roommate, this guy Jeff Clapp, and then there was a trumpet player named Antoine Dry. They were
Yeah.
just a little, Antoine, they were just a little older than me, and they made that same trip. They were at the North Carolina School of the Arts, and they went to New Orleans. And I think what had happened is that Wynton was on tour with the septet, and he was kind of recruiting for the school that his father was starting at the University of New Orleans. And so it was a fairly new program by the time I went, but those guys that were just a little older than me had already gone. So it was like a little bit of a, word of mouth thing from that school in North Carolina to go down there. And so I followed those guys and studied with, the two main mentors I had there were Ellis Marsalis and Harold Baptiste. Harold was especially important for me too. And that was the best thing I ever did. I considered trying to come straight to New York, but when I came to visit, my brother was already here, but when I came to visit, it was just really overwhelming, like too much, so, but New Orleans was a better step for me at that time.
And while you were in New Orleans, obviously you made some great connections because you eventually created an ensemble with that type of, genre and stuff. How did that come about?
I mean, that group, so the group is called Double Wide. New Orleans is just one of those like gigging towns. It's a great town to be a musician and just play a whole lot of gigs, a lot of different kinds of gigs. There's a lot of tourism. There's a lot of funk bands. There's a lot of just music for people to dance to. And, I had all those kinds of gigs. And I played a really memorable gig that was led by this guy named David Torkanowski. And it featured this legendary singer named Johnny Adams. And Herlin was playing drums. And then there was this guy playing sousaphone as a bass. And I found out later, I think they hired him to play bass, but he had hurt his finger or something. So he just brought the sousaphone instead. And that's this guy, Matt Perrine. And I got to know him. Yeah, that gig really stands out because he was playing so much. I mean, he could solo, he could do anything, but he could also really play pretty much any kind of music, it felt like, as a bass player, but on the sousaphone. And I had kind of never experienced what that felt like. But I said, in my mind, I was like, I got to have a band. I got to start a band with this guy playing sousaphone bass. And that was really when I started thinking about it. And then I think we made our first record 2008.
Okay.
But yeah, I kind of built it around him. I always wanted to have Jason Marsalis in that band, and he joined also. And yeah.
So your musical like concept, like you have 15 recordings out, but they're also different. Each one of them is kind of different from each other. So Double Wide is like a homage to New Orleans, Second Line, Trad. So tell us about some of your other bands.
Well, since I've been up here, I feel like I end up really writing for the people that I play the most often with, and okay. Playing music, for people, kind of like thinking about the people I love playing with and writing for them. So, for a long time I had a band that had Mike Moreno playing guitar in it. He and I have played on each other's records and on other people's records forever. I mean, we started at the New School together, actually. And so I did a lot of playing with Aaron Goldberg back in that period also. And, sometimes it's just like that. Like, I think that there's a way that people think about music where it's kind of about language. So like, and that your job is to, like come up with an individual language, and like that is the goal. And I have a lot of respect for that, but that's never really been a natural thing for me. I sort of think about each album and each project as having its own internal coherence, and it has to do with the people, and the language might exist just for that. Sometimes it might want it to be very like in a particular style, and then sometimes I might want to, like with the double wide thing with the sousaphone, it's all about orchestration. It's just like, what are the sounds of these instruments together, and what are the various ways I can blend things. So I feel like I have a lot of fun with each individual project, but they're all kind of their own little thing to explore.
And that makes sense. I mean, because the sounds of all of the groups you have is so unique. I mean, some of it is really classical bass, jazz classical bass. Some of it is more experimental. Some of it is more funkish, so
Sure.
it's really a nice kind of, how should I say, a nice plethora of sounds of the jazz idiom. And it kind of, I'm trying to lead to the fact that, you play with everybody. Like when I hear your name, like when you hear Train, you think Train. When you hear Miles, you think Miles, and when I hear John, it's like I hear you with Helen Sung. I just hear you with playing with so many great musicians, and not everybody can do that. Not everybody can fit. You're talking about orchestration, like fit into
Mm.
all of those different, ensembles, and it says something about your versatility.
Man, I'll take it. I'll take it. I appreciate it. It's not something I have ever thought that much about, other than like, I was thinking about this morning because I knew I was going to talk to you, but sometimes I think of music really as service, like that you're serving the music, but you're also serving the person that you're working with who wrote the music, and you serve the people that, there's a service aspect. And I think I was also kind of brought up in such a way to kind of say yes to things. Like when people ask you to do something, just say yes to it, even if you feel like you're not ready or you don't know how to do it. Hey man, can you play some flute on this? Yes, I can. You try to go get, and I think I've learned a lot from doing that, from just kind of default trying to say yes and trying to integrate into whatever someone was doing, and trying to strive for excellence, like just wanting it to be excellent and wanting to serve that music and make it good, regardless of what it was they were asking me to do. So I think that's kind of like maybe more or less how I've been thinking about it,
And that's a great word, man. That's a word that I use often, even outside of the music. Just being in my job at the university and stuff, we talk about that all the time. The students are your clients, and someone comes into your office is about service. But my question to you is serving and prepare. How do you prepare for a gig? Like, for instance, how do you prepare for a gig with Sting?
Well, yeah, I didn't have to do much preparation for that. I didn't there's a dog here in case you hear. Sorry about that. I didn't so one of my really important mentors at the New School is this guy named Robert Sadin.
Mm-hmm.
The Sting story is funny. And so he ended up producing this Sting record called If on a Winter's Night, which was kind of like a Sting Christmas record, but very classical and interesting. And so that what happened with that is that he kind of wanted to, once he had gotten Sting's record virtually completed and Sting was happy with it, he wanted to bring a few of people that he liked and try to kind of get them on the record in a really subtle way.
Oh, okay.
So he almost snuck me on that record, like I showed up at the end and just did a few things, a little bass clarinet. It always felt like the idea was to try to get it on there, so just enough that Sting would notice it was there, but not so much that he would really notice it was there. Kind of.
Okay,
but that was it. I was just on that one record. That was it. Yeah.
But that's great, though. That's great. But you played with some other great folks, man. Dr. Lonnie Smith, and how was that? I mean, that's like legendary,
Incredible. That was one of my greatest privileges to play with Doc. I mean, he mostly had a trio, but whenever he would bring the horns together, we did a lot of different things. I made several records with him. Doc was one of those people that he never lost his inner child. Like he was like, music to him, it always felt like he was just exploring and playing, and the way he connected with audiences was unbelievable. And just there's something about somebody who learned how to play the way he learned how to play, and of that era and of that time, that it just feels so different to play with him than, everything is, I don't know, it's like, it's not codified, it's like magic, like the way he plays a chord, and it's a chord, but it's like, he was like, it felt like magic, and there was something about that I really, really love that. That was I could tell you a funny story about rehearsing. This is a good Dr. Lonnie Smith story. So he would rarely rehearse, almost never.
Mm-hmm.
And when we did rehearse, sometimes he'd be like, no, don't do it like that. no, do it like this. And it would actually get like strangely detailed. But then if you went to the gig and you actually tried to do that, he wouldn't want that at all, because he was so in the moment that he's just feeling what it feels like right then. And he's like, this is what I want. But as soon as you're in a new moment, which is like a gig, it's all different now, you know? I realized after a while that rehearsing with him, as opposed to other kinds of rehearsals, it was about learning how to be in the moment with him.
Right.
Like that was the rehearsal. It wasn't like you were going to do this thing necessarily. It was just that you needed to get right there with him so you could kind of sense it like he was sensing it. And that was really a kind of profound thing to think about, that like sometimes the rehearsal is just learning to occupy the same moment. It's not about like actually doing the thing.
Right. You know? One of the things, because I played organ trio for almost like 8 years with Bobby Forrester.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Before he passed away. And a lot of musicians, especially today, don't get that opportunity to play with an organist.
Yeah.
Man, how it's a different, like playing organ. It took me a minute to understand the pulse of an organ versus an upright bass.
Yeah.
It's a different feel, man. How was that for you?
I mean, also, I think that you as a drummer, y'all have a whole different thing. But you know, I think because I had played with Charlie Hunter for 5.5 years, and it's sort of, in a way, even though what he does is so unique to him, it's actually more coming out of that organ tradition in a sense, because it's a bass. You know, he's handling these two things at the same time, like the bass and everything.
Right.
So I was fairly comfortable with that part. You know, there's also a thing with, to me, there was a thing about pitch, because those organs, like depending on the speed and the power and the way the Leslie is spinning and all that, sometimes it's really hard to hear it's like this beautiful ringing note, but it's hard to hear like where's the pitch.
Right.
I found that you know, for us was kind of like part of the thing too. It's just like, how do you hear the pitches, you know?
Yeah, it's I think that the thing that I had to figure out was like when you playing with an upright bass and that bass player pulls the string, it's like a direct sound versus the organ. It's kind of like a cushion of sound coming at you.
It doesn't have as much point on the front, right?
Yeah,
it has it. Sometimes I think that depending on the organist, I mean, Doc could put a point on it too.
Yeah.
There's all that stuff they do with the feet and everything, but there's some way that he could put a little more front,
make it more punchy, and
he could put a more. Yeah, I don't know how he did it. I mean, the other thing is like he set up. I mean, that's probably some old school thing, but he always set up facing straight out, and I think that organists, because there's so many things, they levers and things they pull and push and stuff. A big part of their thing was like almost like they kept it close to they didn't want people to know how they did it.
Right.
Like, kind of like, yeah, even if another organist came, they weren't really going to be able to see like how were they doing that.
That's that old school mentality. You're not going to see what I'm doing, you know. It's like
yeah, you can hide it on the organ, I think, more than you can almost anything else.
Right. But I mean, that's great, man. That's great. One of the other things I really admire, man, is that, you know, you've actually been commissioned to write some really unique pieces, and one of them has been the MOBRO Commission Series Award. Can you tell our audience about that as well?
Of course, yeah. It's a good time to talk about it, because it's we're going to perform it again at the Jazz Gallery in September 17th through the 20th. But so I was really fortunate that the gallery, a lot of what they do, they're a not-for-profit. This is the Jazz Gallery in New York. They're a not-for-profit, and they do lots of different special programs. One of the things they do is commission artists to create new pieces, a lot of times when they're sort of younger and emerging. And the guidance often is just try to do something to challenge yourself, try to do something that's not what you would normally do, like try to break outside of what you would think of normally doing. And so I did 3 of them, and my idea from the beginning was to try to collaborate with a friend of mine who's a playwright, this guy named Andy Bragan. And we basically did 3 different versions of trying to figure out how can words and music interact, you know. So in the beginning, I had these like 12 line dream sequence type poems, and I had a little ensemble that was a thing called Dreamscapes. Then we did a thing that was more narrative, the second one, more like a play in a sense, and that was sort of this nightmare love story called the Ice Siren. And in that case, like I actually tried to write a lot of music to his words. It was kind of like the words were in the front a little bit, and that was really challenging. So for the third one, we flipped it. I think the more natural way maybe is to have the music and then try to. So basically, you have a big plot framework. Our story was about the MOBRO 4000, which was a barge filled with garbage that sailed in 1987, originally from North Carolina. And so there was it sailed from New York to North Carolina. There was an enterprising North Carolina guy who thought that he could take this garbage from New York City, bury it in the ground, and make a methane farm. So he unfortunately, the citizens in North Carolina, once the garbage was on its way, decided that they didn't want that, and they successfully organized to reject this idea. However, the garbage was already on the water, so we basically kind of told this story, this kind of story of unwanted garbage through kind of metaphor and allegory. But from the point of view of the garbage. So the garbage is like is telling its story, and there's 4 singers, 4 brass, 2 guitars, bass, and drums, and it's this whole kind of wild story of garbage with no home.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you're gonna redo this again in September?
September 17th through 20th, we're doing it again. Yeah.
That's great, man. Unique projects, man. You never know how your music is going to inspire or be inspired. Similar to that book you collaborated on, the children's book. That's another one of your collaborations as well, right?
Right. That was this guy Andy Hurwitz wrote these children's books called Baby Loves Jazz. I think you can still find them. And he's the guy that founded Rope-A-Dope Records.
Yeah,
he was always a music guy. He's in Philly. He had kids, and then he just used all his enterprising stuff to kind of make kids stuff. After he had kids, he had like Baby Loves Disco. It was like, dance parties in the middle of the day for kids, but the parents could have drinks and stuff. He was always just thinking about stuff and making it happen. But the Baby Loves Jazz thing was initially pitched to be a book series. And he wasn't getting any takers, and so he had all these music connections. So he made a record called Baby Loves Jazz for Verve, and he got Steven Bernstein to do all the music for that, and it was an album. And so once it was done, suddenly Penguin Books contacted him and said, "Oh, we love this thing. Like, we really want to do this." And he was like, "Oh," like he thought that he wasn't going to get a book series, so he had already done a music thing. So at that point, he was like, "Oh man, I want to have music to these books." And Penguin kind of didn't care that much about the music part, but he did because he was a music guy. So he enlisted me and Aaron. I think I knew him mostly through my Charlie Hunter connections. We made some records for his label. And so, we just kind of started. It was so fun. Like, I think we did 9 books. I think we did them kind of 3 books at a time, And he would do things like, he would have the book done, the artwork done. He would have the sequence, the tracks done. So when you look at it, you can see these are the songs. And we would look down and be like, okay, song 3 is Penguin Dance. And we say, okay, what is that? He said, I don't know. Y'all are going to write that.
But you got to write.
We know it's track 3. And it's, he had it all done already, but no music yet. It's like, oh man. Really
I got to check that out. I'm curious to hear that now.
That particular thing made me think about that. Like, what if I made a record where I made the artwork and the titles and the sequence and everything first, and then wrote the music afterwards? It's not something you would typically think to do.
Exactly, it's a different approach.
But it kind of feels like problem solving. Like you don't really get stuck. It's interesting.
Yeah, a lot of guys just like start writing and get inspired from different things and then come up with a concept. But this is the concept first, and you just got to fill in.
And the way it's it's nice that you connected it to the MOBRO thing, because I learned a lot from these projects in the sense that having kind of a bigger picture way to organize yourself, and then it's just solving the internal problems. It is really a nice way to work. Like, rather than kind of like, oh, I feel like I should be inspired, let me go sit down and try to, okay, here's a chord, let me sing a melody. It's like you kind of have whole thing you're trying to do, and then you can write the music to solve these problems. I really like working that way.
Mm-hmm. Having a concept is really great, man. Yeah, I love that, man. I'm definitely gonna look for that project because I want to hear it.
Yeah.
I want to hear it, but great, man. So thanks for sharing that, John. I want to jump into some music. You shared some great music with us, and we talked about the Double Wide project from New Orleans, and you shared a song with us from that project entitled Dublin Land Carnival. That's how you pronounce it?
Dubinland.
Oh, Dubinland. Okay.
Yeah.
Dubinland.
It's made up though, so you could change it if you want.
It's a made up word.
It's a made up. Yeah, it's made up. Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about Dubinland.
Well, I mean, it's probably more the carnival. I mean, Dubinland is just like an imaginary place, like a place of whimsy, cartoonish kind of whimsical, fantastical place. I never got too much into thinking about it further than that, really. But there was a kind of with that instrumentation, which is a sousaphone, organ, trombone, harmonica, and tenor saxophone. Mm-hmm. There's just what I think this band does, hopefully what it tries to do well, is toe the line between being humorous without being, but still having some seriousness. Like I don't know how to explain it better, but it doesn't take itself seriously, but I want the music to be serious. It's not party music really, but it's like, you can imagine this sort of like wild, wacky soundtrack type music,
it's party, yes, but it's definitely serious because it's not in 4/4.
It's like full of surprises, yeah. Right. It's like full of and it modulates, and it has like funny endings. I realize that like sometimes the bands I play in here, like there's never an ending. Like everything is it's always going to just be a vamp forever. Right. Which is like, trust me, I love vamps. I could be in a vamp forever. But there's something about like committing to like some kind of ending, a wild ending, like this one has, kind of a wacky ending.
Yeah. And this one is it's not in 4/4. It's in 5. 5/4. Yes.
Yeah, it's in 5.
So it's definitely serious music because not everybody can you know what I'm saying? Not everybody can function in 5/4 on that level, and the breaks and the counting and all of that. So so I just wanted to share that with you. It's a beautiful song, man.
Oh, thank you.
Let's check it out. Dubinland Carnival. So that was Wow, Wild, Love It. Yes. Funky stuff, bro.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. I mean, I hear what you're saying is this reminds me of New Orleans funeral march and music. Yeah. It's cool. Hey,
You arrange this. Oh, that's
yeah. I love that offbeat tempo. And you had that offbeat
yeah, lots of upbeats.
Lots of upbeat. So that was a harmonica solo, huh?
Yeah, Gregoire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's some beautiful stuff. So who's in this band?
So on this record, Matt Perrine, the sousaphone player that I built it around, this is the one record that has a New Orleans organist named Brian Coogan on it. My other records have someone else. Jason Marsalis is playing drums. Alan Ferber is playing trombone, and Gregoire Murray is playing harmonica. There was a record we made with Charlie Hunter's band called Right Now Move. That was a like trombone, harmonica, tenor saxophone, horn section. That also I think had some influence on me in terms of thinking about those colors together.
Mm-hmm. So one of our listeners says, "I don't know what this is, but I love it." What kind of music would you call this?
I don't know. Yeah, listen to the whole record. It's like, I mean, the fun that I have with this band is finding all the ways to blend the sounds together.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I think it's definitely there's a New Orleans sensibility. Like I'm thinking about New Orleans things, but not only. I mean, sometimes it's really not that, but it's just those sounds. You know, the sounds of those instruments blending is kind of how I think about it. You know, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's good to not know. It's good to not know, but what you put out is really it's entertaining, it's appealing, it got me thinking. So it's definitely serious music because as soon as they started popping up, I started counting. I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
this is 5, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, like
Typical John Ellis to throw you for a loop, you know.
right, and all the ways you can organize it. Like there's the transitions are in 3/4, but they're
Yes,
like really umpa, like
right.
pop pop, pop, you know, like. Um, but it just part of it is just it's like it's funny. Like um, I like surprise. You know, I like to be surprised,
Yeah.
and it's like it's kind of funny, but it's like, oh wow, how did like the idea of like how did they do that? That's definitely part of what I want people to feel for sure. Like, oh, how did that work?
That's beautiful. Well, it's definitely, it's working. It's working.
Good, good.
And this is, I must say now, this is different than what we're gonna hear now, which is swirl, which is a whole
Right.
nother vibe.
Quite different, yeah.
Yeah. So you want to listen to it first, or you want to talk about it?
Up to you, whatever you think. Whatever you
Well,
think's best.
let's listen to it since it's fresh on everybody's there. Let's give them a contrast. So let's check out swirl. So I could definitely hear the swirl in the piano, you know.
Right.
Yeah. Oh man, beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Who's on that project?
So Ruben Rogers,
Okay.
Aaron Goldberg, Mike Moreno, and Terrion Gully.
Nice.
And I think this was probably like 2004, something like that. It's funny. So this record by Thread is probably, there's a song on this record is a little bit too long for this show, but it's like a surprise. It's funny with these things. It's like a surprise hit, and by hit I mean, you know, like jazz students or whatever. But there's like, of the one song of all the records I've made, this is the one song of all the records that I've made that people like, oh man, I know this song. It's called Tall Drink of Water, and it's on this record. But so it's funny, for whatever reason, this one song is one that people like. But I always felt like this. There's a guitarist in New Orleans, also kind of mentor of mine, named Steve Mazikowski. He always really liked this song. So anyway, it's another record where there's a lot of different types of things on it. But I think one of the things interesting to me is that I always, even listening back now, we sound like we had played together a lot, but we really hadn't, which I think is crazy. I just saw Terrion in Detroit, and he was like, "Man, come on, man, we gotta do some gigs. We gotta make another record."
Would you play together in different situations, which is kind of like the case? You may play a lot with Mike over here, and then with Ruben over there, and then somebody else's gig with Terrion. But as a group, it's not. You know, that's usually the case. You know,
I mean, that band. This is probably something I shouldn't confess on this, but that band, actual band of all those people, never played a gig. Although I toured some to promote this when it came out, but it was some different people. This band never actually played together.
Well, you got to change that.
Maybe we should do it now.
Songs of the Diaspora. You're gonna change
20 years later.
Beautiful. We have some great comments, man. One of our listeners said this reminded him of jazz he listened to coming up in Cuba. Somebody else says beautiful. Love that song. So again, you was talking about Tall Drink of Water being a listener's favorite. I think Swirl is giving us some competition.
Good. I want people to know there's some other songs on the record too.
Yeah, great, beautiful. Well, speaking of records and recordings, you know your hits keep coming. So next we have Snarl.
Okay, yeah.
And tell us about that quickly.
Well, this one is a part of MOBRO. So that's what we were speaking about before, which is the allegory, the garbage barge, sailing without a home. So we send the garbage in a kind of fantastical journey. One of the things that came out of the historical MOBRO journey is that there was a growing awareness of conservation, of recycling. People were starting to think about garbage, that they couldn't just kind of throw it anywhere and it wouldn't just magically disappear. So there was kind of some of the recycling movement in the U.S. Grew out of or gained some momentum after this MOBRO event. So what the Snarl is, actually, we send the garbage. I don't know if you guys are aware that there are, because of the currents in the ocean, there are several patches of plastic in the ocean that you can see from outer space. They look like land masses. There's so much like plastic that gathers in the currents, which is like obviously a very big problem. So for our garbage and our story, that was like heaven. You know, that was like, it was like a big dance rave, sexy dance party. That's our garbage went to one of these big plastic swirling ocean currents, and like it was this big sexy party of trash. So and it's kind of seductive. So in this case, this is Sachel Vasandani singing.
Sachel, nice.
He's singing the lyrics, and he's bringing in. He's basically the call of the garbage patch in the ocean, calling our garbage to come basically join in the party. So that's what this one is about.
Garbage. Okay.
Garbage. Garbage. Yes, actually, that's true. They did say that.
Well, let's check this out. Snarl. Yes, that was Snarl. I can hear that. And that's this. That was, you said that was from the MOBRO project, right?
Right. Yeah. The MOBRO is like a 90-minute journey, so it's hard to give you just one piece of it. But yeah, that's the moment when the garbage is seduced into the trash island.
Okay, beautiful. We got an interesting comment here. Your music reminds me of Thelonious Monk, unconventional style, jagged rhythms, dissonant chords, and surprising phases. I love it. Thank you. Yeah.
Cool. I'll take it.
Each song is very different. Reminds me of Foreplay. Okay. Yeah,
Sure.
check that out. Some good stuff, man. Thanks, John.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Sure, man. We have one more song, and we're gonna end this conversation on composition you shared with us entitled "Beautiful Day."
Mm-hmm.
Let's check it out. Beautiful Day. And that's a beautiful day. John Ellis and company. Who's on that recording?
Mike Rodriguez is playing trumpet.
Okay.
Gary Versace is playing piano, and Kush Abadi is playing drums, and Ruben Rogers on bass again.
Nice. Beautiful. Yeah, I like that. It's like some classic stuff with a modern, the bridge is a little different.
Right. A little, just to try to like have somewhere to stretch out a little bit.
Yeah. Beautiful. Man, John, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show, man. Can you share with our audience how they can follow you and where you're going to be next?
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, the next thing I'm doing for myself is at the Jazz Gallery, September 17th through 20th.
Okay.
I'm probably most active on Instagram, which is just John Ellis Music. That's probably the best place. Follow me there. And, I have a website, which is just my full name, including my middle name, which is AXSON, johnaxonellis.com. It's not very up to date, but it has some stuff there. But yeah.
Beautiful. Well, John, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come in and hang out with us here at Sounds of the Diaspora. And we wish you all the best, continued success as you work on your many different projects and work on your 60th recording.
Thank you so much, Dion. Thank you so much. What a pleasure.
Yeah, man. All the best, and hope to see you in the city soon when I'm back. Gotta get you down to the islands also.
I would love that.
All right, we'll make that happen.
Talk to Ruben.
There you go. We'll make it happen, man. John, absolute pleasure, man. You take care.
Take care, Dion.
All the best. Yes, that was the one and only Mr. John Ellis sharing his musical sounds with us of his many projects that he have going on. Interesting stuff. Please follow him. Check him out on Instagram. Check out his website. He's doing some amazing things, and he will keep you entertained as he shares his music with you. So that was John Ellis. Come back next week and join us at Sounds of the Diaspora, who's bringing you amazing musician, trumpeter extraordinaire, Mr. Numer Nasser on trumpet, and he has some wonderful stuff to share with us. So I'm looking forward to our show next week as well. See you then. All the best. Take care.